Christina Applegate has lost everything. She has finished her last TV role. Her previous movie was called off. Because of a sickness that's ruining her body, she can't work anymore. But her illness isn't the actual scandal. It's what happened a long time ago that no one knew about. The abuse, the predators, and the decisions she made as a child. Her next memoir promises to expose tragedy that will shock even her biggest fans. There are some secrets that were never meant to be hidden. Christina Applegate was born in Hollywood on November 25, 1971. Her dad made records. Her mother was an actress and singer, but her parents broke up not long after she was born. She had been in show business for a long time before she could remember. She and her mom were on the soap opera Days of Our Lives when she was only 3 months old. Nancy Pretty couldn't pay for babysitters, so she brought Christina to auditions and shows. Sometimes the mother would act while the baby was given M&Ms to get her on stage. Christina was already a member of the Screen Actors Guild by the time she was in kindergarten, even though most kids her age were still learning to talk. She starred in a Playtex baby bottle ad when she was just 5 months old. It wasn't just cute, it was how her mother kept them going. Christina's first memories weren't about toys or cartoons. They were about being on set, following stage directions, and waiting for the next scene. Nancy went out with artist Stephen Stills for a short time. He gifted Christina a guitar that she kept for years. She only knew that world. She wasn't just a kid in Hollywood. She was making it through. Christina made her first movie when she was 9 years old. It was a weird horror movie called Jaws of Satan. It was about snakes possessed by the devil assaulting a community in Alabama. Christina played the daughter of a businessman, and the movie was so bad that it hardly ever came out. Still, it was the first step in her career from baby advertisements to professional acting. She went on to work on TV shows like Silver Spoons and Charles in Charge. She got a Young Artist Award in 1986 for her part in Heart of the City. Most kids went to the park in the afternoon. Christina spent her time studying lines and filming scenes. But there was something really unpleasant underlying the success. A boy in the neighborhood called Christina obese when she was 8. It was only one word, but it hurt her a lot. She later remarked that one moment sparked a long fight with food and her sense of self-worth. Her mom signed her up for Weight Watchers when she was 15, soon after she got the part of Kelly Bundy on Married, with Children. Christina stopped eating well. On some days, she would just consume 5 almonds. She would weep and stay home if she ate 6. It didn't seem like her mother understood how bad it was. Nancy just asked Christina how she did it when she lost weight and got down to 110 pounds. Christina earned the part that would make her famous in 1987. She was only 15 when she got the role of Kelly Bundy, the blonde daughter in Fox's new sitcom. The show lasted for 11 seasons and helped Fox become a big network. It was rude, humorous, and nothing else like it on TV. Christina's take on the stupid blonde became famous. People loved her lines, which are commonly nicknamed Kellyisms. But even though she made millions of people laugh, she was starving herself. For decades, she had an eating disorder. Until 2024, she never talked about it in public. That year, she talked about her problems on her podcast with Jamie Lynn Sigler. She said the pressure to be skinny was so strong that she quit eating. For years, she wanted her bones to show. Nobody knew. She seemed okay on TV, but inside she was falling apart. She still has trouble with mirrors. She writes notes on the glass to keep from breaking down. Christina Applegate got her first big movie job when she was only 19, but things didn't go as planned. Don't Let Mom Know That the Babysitter Is Deceased. It came out in theaters in 1991 and didn't do very well, coming in 6th with only $4.2 million on its opening weekend. It only made $25.1 million in total. Christina didn't even want to make the movie in the first place. At the time, she was still working on Married with Children and didn't think much of movies that were made for TV. Later, she said she acted like she was better than everyone else. She even called herself a freaking asshat for being so hard to work with on set. Even though it didn't do well at the box office and got bad reviews, the movie slowly gained an audience. People began renting it on VHS and watching reruns on cable. After a while, it became a cult hit. Even though reviewers didn't think she had a lot of potential, people liked her performance. Christina understood she had to take big risks by 1998, when her long-running TV show ended. She was 26 and wanted to show that she was more than simply Kelly Bundy. She picked two movies that were very different from each other that year. She was in The Big Hit, a crazy action comedy with Mark Wahlberg. The other was Mafia, a full-on satire in which she portrayed the fiancé of a mobster. Neither movie was a huge success, but that wasn't the objective. She was letting go of her former self. These parts were her first real step into adult roles. And they showed the industry that she could play more complicated and edgy characters. It was a sensible, well-planned change that worked. She went even further in 2002 with The Sweetest Thing. People thought they had known one another for years since their chemistry was so natural. The movie didn't get great reviews. Roger Ebert even stated it wasn't a good movie, but he also added that it was hard not to admire how hard Christina, Diaz, and Selma Blair worked on it. The movie was supposed to be a female version of There's Something About Mary, with the same kind of crazy humor and moments that go too far. It was a turning point for Christina. People now recognized her as more than simply a sidekick, they saw her as a romantic lead. The business also took note. That connection with Diaz on film led to fresh job opportunities and roles that let her shine. In 2004, Anchorman came out. Christina played Veronica Corningstone, a TV anchor who was based on the real-life journalist Jessica Savage. This was the part that made her famous again, this time on the big screen. She did well in a movie that was mostly made up on the spot, working with Will Ferrell and his comedy team. A lot of the sequences weren't even in the screenplay. Veronica became more than just a character because of how well she timed, delivered, and believed in herself. She was a sign of how far Christina had come. Fans were happy to see her again when Anchorman 2 came out in 2013, almost 10 years later. She had gone from being a youthful sitcom star to a confident actor who could mold her parts and stand up to anyone on television. Christina Applegate has always wanted to be on Broadway. In 2005, that wish came true when she played the main part in the Al Hirschfeld Theater's rendition of Sweet Charity. The show started on May 4 and ended on December 31 after 279 performances. She got a Tony Award nomination for Best Actress in a Musical, a Drama Desk nomination, and a Theatre World Award for her role as Charity Hope Valentine. People were shocked that she went from doing comedy on TV to doing musicals on stage. This role was all she had worked for since she was a child and had trained in dance. But getting to Broadway wasn't easy at all. The play had a rough preview tour of 3 cities. It started in Minneapolis on January 25 and then went to Chicago and Boston. The show was really physically demanding. The dance moves were hard, and the excitement never stopped. Applegate was still determined to get through it all. That night changed everything. Applegate shattered the 5th metatarsal bone in her right foot on March 11, during a Friday night show in Chicago. It happened in the first few minutes, but she kept running for another 20 minutes till the pain made her stop. Her understudy had to continue the show. At first, the producers declared the show wouldn't move to Broadway. But just 2 days later, Applegate convinced Barry Weissler, the producer, to keep it going. She was too passionate to let it stop there. She donned special brown medical boots that went all the way up to her ankles to support her injuries when she came back on April 18. These boots were a part of her performance appearance. They were needed, but they also reminded her of how much the play was costing her. She kept dancing even though it hurt. She didn't want to quit, but her body was telling her to. Her foot was hurt so badly that it might never heal. Applegate said in 2013 that she could no longer dance. She expressed that with sadness since she had always wanted to go back to Broadway. She has been dancing since she was a toddler. That one injury put an end to everything. It made her think differently about her job. She could still dance sometimes, but the physically demanding roles she used to enjoy were no longer possible for her. She was honored to get a Tony nomination, but it also stung. It proved that she had really made it on Broadway. But it happened after the injury that ruined her dance career. Dennis O'Hare, her co-star, presented her flowers on opening night and informed the audience how hard she had worked to be there. His statements showed how hard she had to fight and how brave she had to be to get there. It seemed like Christina Applegate's marriage to Jonathan Schack was a dream come true. They had been together since 1997 and got married in Palm Springs on October 20, 2001. People hoped it would last, but something wasn't right behind the scenes. Schack filed for divorce in December 2005. It was finished in August 2007. Christina kept a Lexus and both of her residences in Los Angeles. Schack took a Mercedes and a statue of Buddha with him. Neither of them sought for help, but what happened next was even worse. Schack remarked that he went to a dark area. He started drinking, using drugs, and having sex with strangers. He thought God had left him. They ended their 6-year romance not with fury but with silence and sadness. Christina had to deal with something even worse less than a year after her divorce. Lee Grievous, her ex-boyfriend, died alone in his apartment in Hollywood. He was just 26. An overdose of heroin was to blame. There was a syringe beside his body. He died on June 29, 2008, a month before his 27th birthday. Christina started dating him in 2005 or 2006, while her marriage was falling apart. Before he became a photographer, he worked as a fisherman in Alaska. His drug troubles wrecked their relationship. He had been fighting addiction since he was a teenager in New York. He was expelled from school for using pot, and later he tried cocaine and other drugs. They were back together for a short time in April 2008, but by the time he died, they weren't together anymore. Christina was quite sad. She stated he was an amazing person and that she would miss him more than words could say. Then she got the news that would change her life forever. Christina was told she had breast cancer in August 2008. She was only 36. It was found early on during a regular MRI. She had no symptoms, although she had been getting checked out since she was 30. Nancy Pretty, her mother, had survived breast cancer twice. Tests showed that Christina had the BRCA1 gene mutation. This meant that she had an 87% chance of getting breast cancer in her lifetime. There was a 44% chance that she will get ovarian cancer. Christina didn't wait when she saw these numbers. She decided to have both breasts removed, even though cancer was only diagnosed in one. She claimed she didn't want to have to go back for tests every few months. She wanted to feel safe. A lot of people were astonished by the choice. She was only 36 years old. She was a famous actress. Her looks had always been a part of her job. But she did what she thought was right. A month later, doctors said she was completely free of cancer. She didn't need radiation or chemotherapy. The operation had succeeded, but it was hard. She later said that there were times when she cried and screamed. She tried to stay funny by making jokes about how she'd have the finest breasts in the nursing home. But the hurt was real, even though they were joking. She achieved something strong with that anguish in 2009. She created a nonprofit for women called Right Action for Women. It helps women who are at high risk for breast cancer get the MRIs they need. Insurance doesn't pay a lot of these tests. The charity has made millions. In one contract with Essex, the corporation promised to give at least $100,000 to assist pay for more screenings. Christina used her darkest moment and transformed it into something that may save others. She has continued going even when it hurts. Christina Applegate made a big move when she came back to TV after married, with children. In 1998, she starred in Jessie, a sitcom about a single mother attempting to make a better life for herself while working at her father's German-themed bar. At the same time as her last seasons as Kelly Bundy, the show was on. This meant that she was portraying two quite different characters on TV. She got a Golden Globe nomination for the first time. The show only had 42 episodes, but it proved to the world that she was more than simply a teenager who made jokes. She earned the People's Choice Award for Favorite Female Performer, which showed that she could carry a show. It felt like Applegate was trying to break out from the shadow of her early celebrity through her character's hardships. Then something unexpected happened. She played Rachel's shallow sister Amy on Friends in 2002. She had never seen the play before she walked on set, but her performance was amazing. In 2003, she came back and won an Emmy for it. In 2024, she said on her podcast that she had only recently begun watching Friends 20 years after it was filmed and couldn't believe she had won an Emmy for a sitcom she hadn't even seen. She quipped that it didn't feel like work, but it turned out to be one of her most memorable roles. In 2007, she took more control of her career with Samantha Who, a sitcom about a woman who loses her memory and tries to figure out who she really is. Applegate not only starred in it, but she also produced it. It got her 2 Emmy nominations and 2 Golden Globe nominations. The show became a metaphor of personal change since one character had to start over after losing everything she knew. Was taken away. No one anticipated how close this story would come to home for Applegate years later. The show has 35 episodes and won her the People's Choice Award for Favorite Female TV Star in 2008. But life wasn't always so perfect. In 2012, a stalker went after Applegate and her husband, Martin Lanabelle. The messages were scary and aggressive. One post wrote, "You took Christina away from me. I'm going to murder you." Another person said they would shoot him in the head. The LAPD got a search warrant for Twitter just a few days after the threats started because they were so serious. The stalker was never found, even after the account was terminated. At the time, Applegate already had a little girl. She had to make her home safer after what happened. This wasn't the first time. Something like this had happened. Someone had broken in before and tried on her clothes. Then came the time that altered everything. Applegate was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2021, while she was filming the last season of Dead to Me. She understood that the first sign had come years before. She tripped while sprinting during the pilot shoot, but she didn't let that bother her. Her condition got worse quickly as filming went on. They had to take her to the scene in a wheelchair. She couldn't even open a door, but she pushed through and finished the season. "I found out on a Monday after work that I had MS," she later said. "A disease I'm gonna have for the rest of my life." Her honesty about the disease shocked everyone. "I don't enjoy living," she confessed. "I don't enjoy things anymore." She described her life as living in hell. She gained 40 pounds. She now needs a cane to walk and fears falling in the shower. Holding a phone, opening bottles, or even standing up in the morning can be overwhelming. Sometimes she just gives up and stays in bed. Her world shrank down to her home and she barely leaves it anymore. Things got worse in 2023 when she ate a salad at a restaurant she trusted and contracted sapavirus. It caused days of intense sickness. She described it in painfully graphic detail. Diarrhea, dizziness, vomiting while trying to collect a stool sample. She learned the virus came from ingesting someone else's fecal matter. At one point, she woke up in a pool of her own waste without realizing it. She had to wear adult diapers. She told People magazine she had been to the emergency room more than 30 times because of stomach and intestinal issues. The pain and vomiting seemed never-ending. Finally, in 2023, she made a heartbreaking announcement. She said she didn't see herself working in front of a camera again. Waking up at 5 a.m. and working 12-hour days just wasn't possible anymore. She made one last appearance at the Screen Actors Guild Awards and called it her final awards show. But she's not giving up completely. She plans to do voiceover work to support her daughter and keep working in some way. One of those projects includes reprising Kelly Bundy in an animated Married with Children series. Christina Applegate has always been known for her strength and sense of humor. But in June 2024, she let the world see something else. On her podcast, she quietly admitted something that left listeners stunned. She said she was in a depression so deep that even getting coffee or going for a walk felt pointless. She didn't try to dress it up. She simply said, "I don't enjoy living." At 52, after decades in the spotlight, this was the most vulnerable she had ever been. Later that year, things got worse. In November 2024, she opened up about what living with multiple sclerosis really felt like. She wasn't vague. She said she lay in bed screaming from sharp pain. She couldn't pick up her phone. She couldn't open a bottle. Her hands had given out. During that same podcast, a fellow MS sufferer described the pain as knives in the stomach. Christina didn't even try to soften the blow. She just said, "It's the worst." 2 weeks after her mental health confession, headlines exploded with rumors about suicide watch. That wasn't true, and she quickly cleared it up. She said she was never on suicide watch and never had been, but she explained that speaking honestly about mental health was healing. It helped take away the shame. She knew the media had twisted her words, but she wasn't going to apologize for being open. By early 2023, her body had changed in ways she couldn't ignore. She had gained 40 pounds due to her medications and being inactive. The woman once known for her dancing now used a cane. She said she didn't feel like herself anymore. Watching herself on the final season of Dead to Me was painful. She couldn't get through it all in one sitting. She wanted people to know she was aware of what they saw, but they didn't know what she was going through inside. Then came the night of the 2024 election. Donald Trump had just beaten Kamala Harris. Christina went online and posted something that lit up social media. She told anyone who voted against women's or disability rights to unfollow her. She said her daughter was sobbing. She said she was shutting down her fan account. When someone made a sexist comment, she didn't hold back. She replied with pure rage. But the internet doesn't forget. By the next morning, she tried to apologize. She said she was sobbing, not angry anymore, and just wanted to watch Bravo shows. But for many fans, the damage was already done. A few months later, in January 2025, wildfires tore through Los Angeles. Christina, still reeling from the election, exploded again. On her podcast, she slammed people who said Hollywood deserved it. She defended her city. She said most of LA was made up of regular people, not celebrities. Her co-host tried to calm her down, but Christina wasn't in the mood. She said she was done being quiet. That podcast sparked another round of online backlash. Some said they supported her. Others said they were done with her. But Christina wasn't slowing down. In March 2026, her memoir, You with the Sad Eyes, is set to come out. It promises to reveal trauma she has never talked about. Abuse, body issues, abandonment. She started acting when she was 3. That means there are years of stories the public has never heard. She said the book won't be dramatic for drama's sake. It will just be honest. She said it's scary, but it's time. She had one more chance to return to the role that made her famous. An animated version of Married with Children was in development. It would have brought the Bundy family back to life with all the original cast. Christina was set to return through voice acting, the only kind of work she could still do. But in July 2025, the project was cancelled. The studio left the door open, but for now, Kelly Bundy is gone. In 2023, Christina stepped into a new role. She showed up to the Emmys with a cane and made the world look at disability without looking away. She argued for accommodations behind the scenes. She told producers she needed help getting dressed and support on set, and they listened. Years earlier, she had survived breast cancer. Now she was using her voice for others with MS, cancer, or anyone who felt invisible.